Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, classmate. Ang topic namin ni Kendar is about one-way analysis of variance. When an F-test is used to test a hypothesis concerning the means of three or more populations, the technique is called analysis of variance, commonly abbreviated as ANOVA. At first glance, you might think that to compare the means of three or more samples, you can use the t-test comparing two means at a time. But there are several reasons why the t-test should not be done. When you are comparing two means at a time, the rest of the means under study are ignored. When f-test, all the means are compared simultaneously. So, yung dito daw is kapag nagko-compare ka ng 2 means at a time, yung the rest of the means ay nai-ignore daw. When you are comparing 2 means at a time and making all pairwise comparison, the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true is increased since the more t-tests that are conducted, the greater is the likelihood of getting significant differences by chance alone. The more means there are to compare, the more t-tests are needed. For example, for the comparison of 3 means 2 at a time, 3 t-tests are required. For the comparison of 5 means 2 at a time, 10 tests are required. And for the comparison of 10 means 2 at a time, 45 tests are required. Assumption for the F-test for comparing 3 or more means. First, the population from which the samples were obtained must be normally or approximately normally distributed. Dito naman is dapat normal yung pagkaka-distribute or normal distributed yung population mo, like well-shaped. The sample must be independent of one another. The variance of the population must be equal. Even though you are comparing 3 or more means, in this use of the F-test, variance are used in the test instead of means. With the F-test, two different estimates of the population variance are made. The first estimate is called between group variance and it involves finding the variance of the means. The second estimate, the within group variance, is made by computing the variance using all the data and is not affected by difference in the means. If there is no difference in the means, the between group variance estimate will be approximately equal to the within group estimate, and the F-test value will approximately equal to 1. The null hypothesis will not be rejected. However, when the means differ significantly, the between group variance will be much larger than the within group variance. The F-test value will be significantly greater than 1, and the null hypothesis will be rejected since variance are compared. This procedure is called analysis of variance or ANOVA. Para lalo natin maintindihan is mamaya mamaya mas lalo nyo maintindihan kapag magpapakita na ako ng mga example at papakita ko paano nakuha yung mga solution. For the test of difference among the three or more means, the following hypothesis should be used. For our null hypothesis, meron tayong mu sub 1 is equal to mu sub 2 hanggang sa mu sub k. Our alternative hypothesis, at least one mean is different from one others. So, yung the degree of freedom for this F-test are the degree of freedom in the numerator is equal to k minus 1, where k is the number of the groups, and the degree of freedom in the denominator is equal to n minus k, where n is the sum of the size of the groups. For example number 1, the researcher wishes to try 3 different techniques to lower the blood pressure of individual diagnosed. with high blood pressure. The subjects are randomly assigned to three groups. The first group takes medication, the second group exercises, and the third group follows a special diet. After 4 weeks, the reduction in each person's blood pressure is recorded at alpha is equal to 0.05. Test the claim that there is no difference among the means. The data are shown. So under medication, meron tayong 10, 12, 9, 15, and 13. Tapos under your exercise is we have 6, 8, 3, 0, and 2. Under diet, we have 5, 9, 12, 8, and 4. For step 1, state the hypothesis and identify the claim. In our null hypothesis, for our null hypothesis, we have mu sub 1 is equal to mu sub 2 is equal to mu sub 3. And in our alternative hypothesis, at least one mean is different from one other. So yung i-claim natin dito is yung mu sub 1 is equal to mu sub 2 is equal to mu sub 3. For step 2, find the critical value. Since k is equal to 3 and n is equal to 15, since yung k natin is 3, so yung k natin is number of groups. Ilan ba yung groups natin? Yun yung medication, exercises, and diet. So, dun sa n naman natin, sum of the sample size of the groups. So, ilan lahat yung mga sample size ng group is 15. Kaya naging 15 siya. So, degree of freedom in the numerator. K minus 1 equals to, meron na tayong value ng K, which is 3. So, 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. Degree of freedom in denominator is equal to n minus k. So, meron na tayong value ng n at saka meron na rin tayong value ng k. So, 15 minus 3 is equal to 12. Para hanapin natin yung critical value, para mahanap natin critical value, titingin tayo sa table E. So, yung degree of freedoms in denominator, ito yung table E. So, degree of freedoms in the numerator and degree of freedom in denominator. Meron tayong numerator at saka denominator. So, yung numerator natin is 2. Ito yung 2. 2. Ito yung 2. Tapos yung denominator naman natin is 12. Hanapin natin yung 12. So, ito yung 12. Ito yung 2. Tsaka yung 12. Ano yung alpha level natin is 0.05. So, yung critical value ang makukuha natin critical value is 3.89. So, the critical value is 3.89. For step 3, compute the test value using the procedure outlined here. Find the mean and variance of each sample. Para makuha natin yung mean at saka variance is, pero alam na-discuss na sa ibang grupo paano kumuha ng variance at saka mean. So, para mabilisan na lang to. Para makuha sa X bar sub 1, yun yung medication, yung nakuha nating mean is 11.18. Then sa X bar sub 2 is 3.18 and X bar sub 3 is equal to 7.6. Para ba nakuha yan? Pag-add lang natin yung sa medication and divided i-divide natin sa 5 kasi total number of each group is 5. Those under variance naman is ano ba yung formula ng ano ba yung formula ng variance? The summation of x minus x bar squared minus n minus 1. Kaya nakuha natin yung variance sub 1, variance sub 2, and variance sub 3. So yung under mitigation ng variance is equals to 5.17. Sa exercise is 10.2 and sa diet is 10.3. Letter B, find the grand mean. The grand mean denoted by x bar grand mean is the mean of all values in the samples. So yung formula ng grand mean natin is the summation of x bar. X bar to nawala yung yung bar niya. Kaya x bar divided by the sum of the sample size of the groups. Yung kung ilan lahat yung sample size natin. So ito yung ilalagay lahat natin yung mean natin is ito yung mga mean natin 10 plus 12 plus 9 plus 15 plus 13 plus 6 plus 8 plus 3 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 plus 9 plus 12 plus 8 plus 4 divided by 15 is equal to 16. 116 divided by 17 is equal to 7.73. So, yung grand mean natin is 7.73. So, for letter C, find the between group variance denoted by S variance B. S squared sub B. So, yung formula natin para sa between group variance is the summation of total number of each group multiplied by x bar minus grand mean divided by the total number of each group multiplied by x bar minus grand mean squared divided by k minus 1. So ito na yung mga so isa-substitute na natin yung mga nakuha natin. So 5 times 11.8 minus 7.3 squared plus 5 times 3.8 minus 7.73 squared plus 5 times 7.6 minus 7.73 squared divided by 3 minus 1. So, yung 3 natin is it is yung number of group. Kaya naging, so is equal to 160 minus 1.3 divided by 2. So, yung between group variance natin is 80.07. So for letter D, find within group variance denoted by S squared sub W. Dito naman hahanapin naman natin yung within group variance. Yung formula ng within group variance is the summation of total number of each group minus 1 times yung nakuha nating variance divided by the summation of total number of each group minus 1. So, yung total number of each group natin, for each group meron silang 5. Sa medication meron siyang 5 total of groups, sa exercise 5 and sa diet 5. So kaya yung total of each group natin is 5. 5 minus 1 times 5.17 plus 5 minus 1 plus 10.2 plus 5 minus 1 times 10.3 divided by 5 minus 1 plus 5 minus 1 plus 5 minus 1 is equal to 104.80 divided by 12. So, yung within group natin is 80.0, 80.73. So, for letter E, find the F-test value. So, under F-test value is hanapin natin yung formula for F-test value is between group variance divided by within group variance. So, meron na tayong value nun. So, is-substitute na lang natin yung mga value na nakuha natin sa between group variance at saka within group variance. So, doon sa between group variance is meron tayong 80.07 and sa within group variance naman is 80.73. So, 80.07 divided by 80.73 is equal to 9.17. So, yung F-test value natin is 9.17. So, for step 4, make the decision. So, the decision is to reject the null hypothesis since 9.17 is greater than 3.89. For step 5, summarize the result. There is enough evidence to reject the claim and conclude that at least one is different from the others. So, dito na po nagtatapos ang aking report. So, si Kenler naman po ang magre-report ng kanyang part. Thank you po.
Good afternoon po. So, I'm Keller S. Samoy. So, itutuloy ko lang po yung report ni Jerome kanina. Ngunit sa Microsoft Excel na po tayo. So, the problem is, state employee wishes to see if there is a significant difference in the number of employees at the interchanges of 3 state toll roads. The data are shown at alpha is equal to 0.05. Can it be concluded that there is a significant difference in the average number of employees at each interchange? So, ito na po yung mga sample natin. Meron po tayong 3 groups. So, ilalagay lang po natin itong data natin sa Excel. So, niready ko na po siya para hindi po time consuming. So, first, gagawin po natin is punta tayo sa data. So, punta po natin sa data. Tingnan po natin dito sa gilid yung data analysis. Next, tignan po natin yung ANOVA single factor. Then, click OK. Then, input range. So, kukunin lang po natin to. Then, click. Then, check po natin tong labels in first row since sinama po natin yung mga label. So, alpha is 0.05. Then, output. Then, click. Dito po natin ilalagay yung ating output. Then, click. Then, okay. So, ito na po yung outcome. So, adjust lang po natin yung mga decimal places. 2 decimal. Okay na po. Ayan. So, start na po na natin i-analyze yung ating data. So, dito po, yung mga group natin is Pennsylvania Turnpike, Greensburg Bypass, and Beaver Valley Expressway. So, meron po tayong 6 data kada sample. So, sample nila is 93. So, Pennsylvania, 24 naman sa Greensburg Bypass, and 35 sa Beaver Valley Expressway. So, average or mean po nila is 15.5. Sa Greensburg Bypass is 4, and sa Beaver Valley Expressway is 5.83. So, variance po nila is 81.9, 25.6, and 28.97. So, dito naman po is makikita natin na yung between groups, SS means sum of squares. Then DF means um, degrees of freedom, and MS is mean square. F is yung F is statistical value natin, then P value, and F critical. So sa between group po is sum of squares natin is 458.11. So pinakita po ni Jerome kanina kung paano ito kunin sa yung mano-mano. So within group is 682.33 and yung total is 1,140.44. So, degrees of freedom naman po natin dito sa between group is 2 and sa within group is 15. So, yung mean square po natin is 229.056 and between groups 45.489 or 49. Dapat. Yan. Then yung F statistical value po natin is 5.035 or 5.04. Then, P value is 0.021 and yung F critical natin is 3.682. So, kung mapapansin po natin, since F test is greater than the critical value and P value is less than the alpha level of significance, then we need to reject the null hypothesis. So, kung mapapansin na rin po naman natin dito is sobrang layo na nung isang mean. So, yung ano po natin dito, yung result is there is enough evidence to support the claim that there is a difference among the means. So, ito po yung claim natin kanina. Yun lang po. So these steps for computing the F-test value for ANOVA are summarized in this procedure table. So step 1, find the mean variance of each example. Step 2, find the grand mean. And step 3, find the between group variance. Step 4, find the within group variance. Step 5, find the F-test value. The degrees of freedom are degrees of freedom in the numerator is equal to k is minus 1, where k is the number of groups. And degrees of freedom in the denominator is equal to n minus k, where n is the sum of sample sizes of the groups. When the null hypothesis is rejected in ANOVA, it only means that at least one mean is different from the others. To locate the difference or differences among the means, it is necessary to use other tests such as the Tokay, Tokay, Tokay or Escoffier test. So, yun lang po. Thank you for listening.